70 years of Geordie heartbreak ended in a flash. Ishak was the man. Liverpool got packed up like a standard set of IKEA wardrobe. Who would have thought it? The boys fell short at a time when victory was needed. But hey, they've got bigger fish to fry. And I heard that Trent likes white. The kit, not anything else. This is One Kick from Glory, and we're going to talk about that and all the beautiful things happening in the Cup this season. Matthew's prediction looks like it's going to come true, and we're going to have a surprise new winner well, we've already got one so far. Will there be two big surprise winners this season? As you know, it's me, Clive. We've got Craig here, got Matthew here. And we're going to start off talking about that Carabao Cup final, a historic win for Newcastle, a wonderful trophy parade held as well in the city. It was beautiful to see. Matthew, what were your thoughts on that glorious day for the Geordie Mandem?
You know what? Well done to Newcastle, man. Well done, Newcastle. If any team deserved it throughout the whole thing, it is them. I think like the way how they, considering they knocked out all of the top four in the Premier League this season, they obviously beat Liverpool in the final. They knocked you out in the semis. They beat us along the way, somewhere along the way. I think they beat Forest on the way on, was it penalties or something? So they've clearly shown their mettle and they've learned their lessons from the Carabao Cup final back in 2003 against Man United. And have come through like strong, determined, like willing to win. I'm sure there were a lot of people who had Liverpool to be the favourites, but cup finals, man. It's not like you're playing in the league. The cup genuinely does, whether it be Carabao, FA Cup, Johnson's Paint Trophy, whatever it is, yeah. The form goes out the window when it comes into the cups. They could have had a mad losing streak and probably still won this game just because that's just how things like go down. And it was particularly good. What it was, not just they fought for it, they wanted it more, but the intent was there. But it was just nice to see, like, say, the romance comes back as someone like big old Dan Burn, a Newcastle boy, scoring in the final to put his team up 1-0. A big, strong, powerful defender's header. He will remember that for the rest of his career and the rest of his life, man. Just moments like that. And of course, the big man, the man of the moment, Mr. Isak, putting away his goal as well. So fantastic result, great game. Great trophy parade, and it's nice to see. Not only, I mean, it's nice to see that my prediction came true, but it's just nice to see someone that's not City, United, a Chelsea, and Arsenal, this or that, coming through on a trophy. You know, it's giving West Ham in the Conference League 2 years ago, that kind of thing, where it's just nice to see and to see what it means to the players and the fans. Gimresh crying because he's so passionate about it, man. So. Very, very happy. Well done, Newcastle, and hope the rest of the season turns out good.
Yeah, it was definitely a great result for them, and one that I think we will all look back on and have that excitement to see a team like Newcastle who have been through so much get their glorious day out in the sun. I guess for you, Craig, when you looked at the game pre-match, you think about Liverpool and the run they're on this season. You know, they had disappointment of losing out in the Champions League. They had the cup final to look forward to. Did you expect that the game was going to go the way it did?
Yes and no. I thought that Newcastle, who have won the trophy for 70 odd years, were hungrier, wanted it more. Liverpool lost that Champions League that Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday they lost that game against the PSG in the Champions League. Mm-hmm. I thought Newcastle were more fresher on the day. They were more hungrier. They won the midfield battle, and they won the defensive battle as well. Dan Burn got the header for the first goal, and I think Isak scored the second goal. I thought Newcastle could have scored more goals in that final. I know Liverpool got a chance to score towards the end, but I thought Newcastle had gone clear anyway, so I wasn't worried about them after that. I thought they deserved to win it. They were the best team in the tournament. They beat Arsenal home and away. They played a better football. They deserve to win. So congratulations to Newcastle.
Yeah, it's one of those moments that you look back on and you think this is what football's all about. And obviously online there's been so much conversation around the celebrations and the trophy parade and all that kind of stuff. And I think ultimately, I feel like there's too many people that want to police people's reactions to stuff. Like, they've won a trophy for the first time in generations even. Some fans have never seen them win. Some fans were children when they last won. I even saw a story of one fan who his granddad took him to his first game, obviously when he was young. And now, 30 years later, they finally get to celebrate a win together. And it's like, that means a lot. And I'm just looking at the amount of fans. I think they had over 200,000 people that were out there during the trophy parade this past weekend. Like, that means something for them. And I think for me, we need to get back to a place where we can actually enjoy celebrating the moments that happen, because it's not easy to win anything in football. Not everyone can win everything in football. And for the last few years, it's been a Man City dominated mess, and Man United picking up the trophies to kind of paper over the cracks. But for once, you've got teams who are never favourites at the beginning of the season to get these wins and have come away with a historic victory, and one which I think they should really celebrate, and one which I think can even galvanise them now to push on in the league. And we'll talk about the league a bit later as to what that might mean for them and for others. But this is the kind of things you want to see. Obviously, a Liverpool point of view, this is a disappointment. I think they can, on the one hand, you can be happy for Newcastle and how it went, but this is not the way Liverpool would have seen this going. And I guess the question I want to put to you, Matthew, is this 2 blips in cup competitions back to back, or is this possibly the hint of a slow crumble?
We won't know until their next game, because they've had 2 weeks off, obviously no FA Cup. Their next game in the Premier League will give us the answer to that. But it is very surprising for a team that was fighting on all fronts very, very well, I might add. Bear in mind, they've still got that good gap in the Premier League anyway, but still, it's not like it's mathematically impossible for someone else to step in. There's still 10 games. Is there
9 games left?
9 games left, ain't over until it's over sort of thing, even though I do think it's a very hard ask for someone to bridge that gap. I don't think we'll know until the next game, because this was their issue a couple of years ago when they were fighting again on all fronts, getting to a very high level at a very kind of opportune moment. They were fighting on the Premier League, they were in the domestic finals, and they were also fighting on the front of, I think they got to the Champions League final, or they lost it as well. This team clearly doesn't know the meaning of rest and sitting down and doing nothing. Even on their weekends, on their days off, they're probably working, which is something I think is absolutely mad. But if any team's capable to do it, it is them. However, bear in mind, after that season where they went too hard, too fast, as far as the Premier League was concerned, they were well away from everybody else. It was a Man City, Arsenal thing to play for. And it wasn't like they weren't even part of the picture. They just fell so far off after a time. So and obviously we're going to get into the whole Trent thing. It's not like the players that they have now, all of them are necessarily going to stay, especially their mainstay players who've been here for many, many years as part of that success. Your Salahs, your Van Dijks, Trent, again, we'll get onto in a moment. Who's to say that other players aren't thinking the same thing? Who's to say that other players aren't going to be looking at somewhat past his unit? Remember, Arne Slot has literally just he's slotted in, no pun intended, and taken over the reins. He's done very well so far, even with the loss of the Champions League and loss of the Cup final. It's still a Cup final, and they got there after all. But you're going to start seeing more of a stamp of his things as it goes on, adding more of his players, because they can't stay forever. They're aging, they're slowing down. They're working extra hard to make sure the season is somewhat of a success. And you're already seeing the thing in that where some people are already starting to leave. So personally, I won't know. I can't make a judgment until I see their next game and how, not so much as they win, but how they play.
Remember last season, they won the League Cup, and I remember there was a post from Trent, was like 1 down, 3 more to go or something. Didn't win anything else. The quarterfinals of the Europa League, quarterfinals of the FA Cup, 3rd in the Premier League. It's not unprecedented, but it would be interesting. Craig, what's your thoughts? Do you think, because the next game is Merseyside Derby at Anfield, and we'll get on to predictions a bit later, but do you think there's a possibility that we could start to see, because you could say it's just 2 bad results, and the PSG game is a lot of different factors in that match as well, but could this be the start of a wobble?
Well, every club this season had a bit of a blip throughout the season. Chelsea had it, Arsenal had it, Man United had it, Tottenham's had it all season.
It's true.
I'm not.
No,
I'm stating facts. I'm stating facts. So Liverpool have not had a blip this season. They only had one blip. Well, when they lost against Nottingham Forest, and after that they picked up results. The reason now their blip might be happening now. Reason being, playing the same players for the whole season, not really rotating the squad enough. Don't really have rotational players to bring off the bench who can make a big impact. Or as much like a Man City, you can bring on a Mamouche if he came off injured. You can bring on They got young kids who are quite doing well in the academy. So Liverpool didn't really invest in the summer either. So you have to say that maybe their time is now. Maybe their belief is going to happen now. But Arne Slot has won the league in Holland twice. Very good manager with young players. He's transformed Gravenberch's career at Liverpool. Because last season we didn't know what type of player was he, a number 8? Was he a number 6? So this manager knows what he's doing. So it would be a massive shock if they lost if they didn't win the league this season. But Premier League has done some funnier things in the past. Newcastle 95 or 96 when they were top of the Kevin season. And then Man United blew them out of nowhere and won the league. So stranger things have happened. So never underestimate the Premier League, because the Premier League is one of the best leagues to watch. Is it one of the best leagues in the world? That's an open debate. But it's very entertaining to watch. And we'll see how the rest of the games unfold.
We definitely will see how it unfolds, and it's going to be quite interesting to see how things pan out. Obviously, that was 95-96 season with Kevin Keegan. But we do have to address the elephant in the room. And it's the one which, I think when January came around and we saw the bids flying in, we knew that was Madrid's usual tactic of making it seem like we're trying to buy someone that they've already got sewn up on a free. The same with PSG last season with Mbappe, if you remember, and a few seasons before. Same tactic. When they're on the last year of their contract, we'll put a transfer bid in, see what the club does, knowing the player's going to come anyway. And lo and behold, it looks likely that Trent will be joining Real Madrid in the summer. I want to start with you, Craig. Outside of the shock of the news, they say it's like the worst kept secret in football. Do you think that's going to have an impact now for Liverpool rest of the season, or is this going to be business as usual for them?
Well, this is Arne Slot's first massive challenge as a manager at Liverpool. He's got 3 players out of contract in the summer. I don't know what's going to happen with Van Dijk or Salah. Trent now has decided he wants to go. He's won everything at Liverpool. He's won everything at Liverpool. Won the Premier League, won the FA Cup, won the League Cup, you know what I mean? Maybe he feels now at his age and he wants a fresh challenge. He's 27 years old, or going to be 28 soon. Maybe he feels he wants a fresh challenge away from Liverpool. He wants to try and... He said he wants, in one interview, he wants to win the Ballon d'Or, wants to be the best defender in the world.
He's 26 right now, 27 in October. Yeah, okay.
No time to get back.
Well, I feel that he's done Liverpool a good service. Some Liverpool fans will say to me, he'll say that he should have been loyal, like Steven Gerrard was loyal to Liverpool, but he's a homegrown talent. Like all the youth players look up to him in the academy as the ones to want to break through. He's the guy they looked up to him to break through. I feel he needs a fresh challenge. Honestly, he needs a fresh challenge. I feel that sometimes if you can stay at one place for too long, you can get stagnant, and your game can change and whatever. You can get injured, like he's injured at the moment. Maybe a change of scenery will open up his game to the next level. Because technically, he's one of the best players at Liverpool. His technique is second to none.
Clean.
He's like a Beckham at right back.
His delivery, yeah.
His delivery from set pieces. There's a few players in the Premier League who's got that set piece. Like I would say Trent, Reece James at Chelsea. He's got very good with free kicks and all that. So he's got that ability, but he's very good at set pieces and good at delivery. So if he wants to test us out at Madrid, all the best to him.
All the best to him indeed. I want to ask you then, Matthew, because obviously you've had players move on. You've had players join you in a way, like Torres, which you pinched in Liverpool, and that was obviously a big controversial transfer at the time. You have no issue moving players in and out of your club. It's not a problem. But like looking at it from like the boyhood player that's come through your academy angle. I know obviously we joke a lot about Mason Mount because it hasn't really worked out for him at Man United, but it is that similar kind of feel of a player that you could have seen a pathway for them to become a future captain. And I think that's probably one thing that Liverpool fans would really feel extra aggrieved for with Trent, because this is a guy that was definitely future captain right there. Gerrard, heir apparent right there in so many different respects, but yet obviously he's looking for a different challenge overseas. But how do you look at the situation with him?
I'm like with Craig. He sees it's a time for him. When Madrid come a calling, it's very, very rare you say no. Very, very rare. Even no matter what age you're at, even, when Hazard was going to go anyway, he didn't say no. Trent, he didn't say no. Mbappe didn't say no. Even Jonathan Woodgate didn't say no. It's one of those things. Michael Owen didn't say no. They've been here before. Maybe that's where the hurt could come from. When Owen went, he still had, I think, a lot to give to the Premier League. And when he went there, and it didn't work out for him. It really didn't work out for him. We realised very, very quickly that there's a pecking order when you get there. And Real Madrid is like the Ferrari of football. It's not just about the sport or the club. It's a way of life. It's a lifestyle. And you need to realise that they don't operate like anywhere else in football. Whereas Ferrari have a Tifosi, Madrid have the Madristas. So, and you've got to live up to that expectation and a way of life very, very quickly. If Real Madrid could be a country, it very much would be its own country.
That's true.
That's how, and they run business like that. So he's got to realise that it's a good move for him. There's only so much more he can do at Liverpool. All right, yeah, the whole thing of him being heir apparent to Gerrard and the captain and being a homegrown boy's own boy sort of thing is always going to hurt a little bit. But at the same time, it's his career to make, it's his thing to make that. He's got to make that choice.
True.
He's got to make that choice. It's his career after all. And if he feels like he can make that next step and be there, he owes himself. That being said, he's got to realise what he's walking into. Walking into someone like Real Madrid, it's not, the grass ain't always necessarily green there. Mbappe, he struggled for a bit. Lots of players have struggled. Beckham struggled for a bit. Owen struggled for the whole time that he was there. True. Hazard didn't live up to anywhere near what he was like at Chelsea. It doesn't always work. And he's going there realising it's a very big risk. Very, very big risk that he's going there and doing. He's got to realise, he's just got to hope that he finds his style and finds his way. Obviously, he's got Jude Bellingham there, fellow Englishman, kind of some kind of familiarity. So it's going to be a very interesting move, and just seeing Galacticos 2.0 of a later 21st century. So it's going to be crazy, but I'm just hoping. I'm gonna see I'll see how it works out for him. We'll see how he hits the ground running when he gets there. You know what I mean?
Do you think he should have handled this exit better, Craig, or do you think he's done all right in what he's done?
He should have handled it better. I feel like he should have informed the club at least last season that he wants to move on. So the club could have got a transfer fee for him at least, so they can reinvest in the squad. Because right now Liverpool squad is an aging squad now. Van Dijk is over 30, Salah's over 30, Alisson's a 30 something. Robinson's in his 30s. So they've got a lot. This team, I personally feel, it's like the Bulls back in the day, the 95, 91 to 98 Bulls. I think it's like the last dance for this Liverpool team. All the players are there now, like the Trent, the Van Dijk, Salahs, Robinsons, Addisons of this world. They need to have a total refresh.
Well, you've got a new goalkeeper coming in the summer.
Yeah.
Kevin
Nash, he's not Kevin. He's from
Mamba Dash. I forget his name.
Where's he from?
He plays for Valencia.
Yeah, so they got him coming in. I think it's Mamadashvili is his name. But so he'll be a good Mamadashvili, Georgi Mamadashvili, he's joining them in the summer. So he will definitely look to push. He's only 23. So he'll push to take over from Alisson. That's a good keeper to get, a great age, playing at Valencia in La Liga, so he's getting plenty of experience. Obviously, left back's a big one they got to look to refresh. I know that they're thinking about Kerkeres, at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good one if they get those two in. Obviously, there's the option of looking at people like Joel Hato at Ajax. They might look to bid for him. Further up front, they might think about going for Mbeumo. That'll be a smart signing. So that's like baby Salah right there. Right back, they've got Conor Bradley, so they might feel comfortable without directly replacing Trent. But then they might now look to get someone else in to be another understudy or maybe another experienced player. So that's an option. And then it's just a question of through the middle, if they want to upgrade on Nunez. And there's talk now that they're looking at Ishak and maybe trying to throw some money there because they haven't spent a lot in the last few years. They have not spent a lot.
Maybe that's their plan. Maybe that's been their plan.
And it's an interesting thing where I feel like the fans, I can understand that their frustration with Trent, and I agree, it just feels very wrong. Having had players leave us when we were at our on the verge of something special. Cesc, Nasri, Van Persie,
Adebayor.
all those bummy bastards, like they were leaving us, at a point where we're just about to do something special, right? So I get that sentiment, but at the same time, there is no reason why their leadership group, their ownership group, whoever's in charge of football at Liverpool, because I don't know if it's the owners or someone else, there's no reason why they should have let Trent, Salah, and Van Dijk get to this season, get to January, and not have at least 1 or 2 contracts tied down already. How have you gotten to March and we still don't know if the other 2 are going to stay? How?
Clive, I told you before, it's the last dance for them. It's the last dance for Liverpool. If Trent goes, if Van Dijk goes, and if Salah goes, it's over.
No, I hear that, but like I can't picture that. I can't picture that happening at Chelsea. I can't picture Chelsea ever letting a player get to 1 year left on their deal.
No, we're getting money out. We're getting something out of
Even
it.
Arsenal, we've paid players off to get out. Aubameyang. Lacazette will let his run out because he stopped running for us. Ozil we paid off. Kolasinac will let his deal run out and then we send him out on a couple of loans and he left.
Mustafi.
On a free. Guendouzi, we let him out on a nominal fee. Mustafi, we let him go on a nominal fee. We let some of them go.
Yeah.
But even for us, I'm obviously looking at our situation with our contracts with the likes of Gabriel, which they're working on right now. Saliba need to get done. Saka, because they're both going to have 2 years left from next summer.
Yeah, summer.
So for me, I'm glad I'm hearing that they're looking at starting talks. Saliba said it's fine. We'll talk in the summer. I'm not worried about going anywhere. Gabriel, they're doing talks to. Saka, the new director of football, is going to get onto that straight away. So, and his people have come out and said that he's happy to stay and we'll look at the numbers and whatever. So that's promising. Liverpool should never have gotten to the end of the summer with all 3 where they are.
But Liverpool have never done that in their history. Exactly. Liverpool never let them. Only one transfer I can remember that happened to the Steve McManaman back in the day. He left Liverpool on a free transfer to Real Madrid. But
Real Madrid.
All their players in the past, they always made sure to have them tied down to long-term contracts.
Exactly. You never get to 1 year left.
I think personally is because of how Klopp had things and how he brought these players in.
Yeah.
And they got to a point where no one else was coming into these players when they were in their absolute peak. No one's coming in for Salah, no one's coming in for Van Dijk, and no one's coming in for Virgil. I think, I might be wrong, probably am, but I think it was a case where they expected some kind of loyalty for those players. Going on for so long, they kind of saw it where they didn't see them leaving, not at least to a more competitive club.
But the thing is, so from what I understand, they didn't even start contract talks with them.
That's nuts.
Salah heard nothing until October. Van Dijk heard nothing until end September. Nothing.
That's mad.
Not even to say, we're thinking of nothing.
Your contract's ending in less than a year.
Their contract was ending in the summer and they heard nothing. So that's the problem. You haven't even started talking to these players. Now, it could be a case that they want to, youthen up the team, whatever. They could justify it however they want. But to not even start a conversation with them, your 3 most important players, you're not even thinking, let's sit down, let's have a chat, let's see where your head's at, what numbers you're thinking of, let's see if it fits in our vision. It just feels like the ownership were like, well, we're gonna phase out at least 2 of you. Trent will probably get him to sign. We'll speak to him a little bit later. He's a Liverpool lad, so he'll definitely agree to a deal. Let's December. We'll chat with him and see what he's saying. To me, it's outrageous that they let it go that far.
That's 300 million. 300. I've worked it on value. That's 300 million worth of talent they're gonna get.
All 3 of them.
If all 3
All
go.
3 of them go.
At least.
Van Dijk
Shocking.
when Van Dijk went to Liverpool, he would pay 80 million from in there.
Yeah.
His value's gone up.
He's probably still worth around 60 to 70-ish, depending where you want to go. Salah's worth
Salah's worth over 100 million.
And Trent
is worth 120, 130 at least.
So at least 300.
That's 300 million there.
Yeah. Shocking from them. I can't believe it.
That's their nest egg.
Yeah.
And I feel like as much Liverpool fans are upset with Trent, and I think by all means, I hate when players leave like this. But at the same time, I think the club, they need to have a conversation. There needs to be answers. There needs to be answers as to what the heck happened. It's the same with Arsenal. I want answers for January. I want answers for January. I want answers. I want to know why you didn't bring in 1 player.
Yeah.
The summer is a different thing. We can talk about that as well. But January in particular, with all things said and done, why did you not get 1 player in? Striker, wide player, something. Give us something. Anyway. We'll get on to Arsenal another time. But let's talk about the other cup competition that everyone's happy about, the FA Cup. Wow, predictions are coming true. The last 4, as it currently stands, Nottingham Forest, who will face Manchester City, and Crystal Palace, who will face Aston Villa. All of these clubs, or Palace have never won a trophy in their history. Obviously, Man City, they've won a lot. We don't care about them. Forest and Villa, they both have over 30 years wait since their last major trophy. So either way, if it works out, it's going to be history for one of the three clubs. We don't count the cheats in blue. But yeah, your prediction's coming true.
Come on. I can see it. Football heritage, football history. It's coming back strong. Newcastle, they got their trophy. West Ham got their trophy 2 years ago. And the possibility, we're looking at two sleeping giants in Forest and Villa. The possibility of them being in our cup final, I'm not going to lie, is very, very exciting. Against two managers who I feel have a point to prove. Unai Emery had a point from Arsenal, and I think Nuno had a point to prove from that failed stint at Tottenham. And the fact that he's taken, let's be real, and Forest were relegation fodder at one point. They're now third in the league. Third in the league.
Looking pretty.
Looking good, solid to be there. Quite possibly are going to be in Champions League next year, or at least in Europe. Then you go to Aston Villa, who are in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, whooping Bruges. Who they got next now? I can't remember who they got next, but they got someone I think they can do. I've already got a prediction for the Champions League anyway. But anyway, looking good. But just please. PSG. Big game. Not impossible. Not easy, but not impossible.
But think of the subcontext as well. Unai Emery taking Aston Villa to his old club where he had the remontada against Barcelona. He was the coach, let's not forget. What if? Oh, that's a nice narrative. But
come on.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the games were very good and very interesting to look across the park. Fulham, Crystal Palace in particular, I want to start off there because
Palace, man.
It was a game where either team could have really had it. I mean, Fulham had some good chances, hit some good blocks there. Palace hit the crossbar, and then Eze got his goal, getting the ball in from the left, cutting inside and just bending it past Bernd Leno. I like Eze. I'm glad he's getting his England call-ups. I'm glad him and Morgan Gibbs-White are two players that I like because they're players that are good dribblers. They take people on it. They're exciting to watch. They are like refined, cultured players. I think Eze has like the flair of St. Maximin with productivity. That's how I see him. And Morgan Gibbs-White is like, he's like, I just like him. I just like how he plays. He just
Arsenal,
takes the ball. I do, but I want to talk about Eze first because Eze was in our academy as a kid, so I would bring him back happily. But Craig, when you see a player like Eze that's thriving in a team like Crystal Palace that we call the other culture club, because you got Arsenal, Culture Club of the North, London, people watching, listening, and you got Crystal Palace, Culture Club of South London. I feel like we got them two poles there. Like, how impressed are you with what he is doing and just how he's developing as a player?
One thing I got to say about Eze, like the way how his career started, like he got rejected by so many clubs and he had to build himself up. A lot of people have given up. It's similar to Ian Wright. His story is similar to Ian Wright, like how Ian Wright got rejected by bigger clubs and then eventually Crystal Palace gave him an opportunity. With Eze, it was QPR gave him the opportunity. He went out on loan to Wycombe Wanderers, I think it was, and he did well there. And then he got into the first team at Crystal Palace, did well, got the massive moves to Crystal Palace. And ever since he's gone there, he's done well. Strength to strength.
Yep.
Him and Elise were Boston up last season. Elise had left, gone to bigger things. And now Elise is the guy that's stepping up. And
Eze stepping
up, sorry. And now he's showing his worth. He came off the bench the other day for England, scored a goal. Did well, scored a goal on Saturday. So all we have to say is that keep on working hard. You never know, he might get a move in the summer. These clubs might look for him and say, what?
Definitely.
I think some teams were looking at him in terms of transfers last summer.
Man City were looking at him last summer. I remember they were looking at him and I think they didn't bid for him. I don't know what happened, but they didn't go for him.
There are a lot of players. He's had a great couple of weeks. His first goal for England. And he had a fantastic game against Fulham. It's the assist, the goal, and just the fact that, you know what it is? He's exciting to look at.
Of course.
He's exciting. He's not just another, England has got great talent at the moment. England is celebrating quite possibly its best generation for decades in terms of depth, in terms of talent, and in terms of availability in every single position, which always makes you wonder how we haven't got nothing since 2018, and it's now 7 years later. And with just to know you have someone like that in your locker who can take people on, is not worried about running into a man and losing the ball. It's such a privilege to have, and you want someone like his career to really to go on, because I'd love to say he's stay at Palace forever. He's not. He's not going to stay at Palace. He will end up somewhere. I honestly do not know, because Palace is like a talent foundry. It produces so many players.
Which team do you think would suit him best then, if he was to make a move in the summer?
A team that needs someone direct. A team that needs someone who's going to, take people on and just keep on running and have all that energy, and just put the absolute fear of God into players. And a team that who'd like that. I'm not saying I want him to go there, but I think a team like that could use someone like that who's just gonna run off and just take the reins. Could be Manchester United. Manchester United could use it. That's how they've had their dominance, having players that will just literally run at you and run at you and run at you, even if they weren't necessarily technically gifted, but they just keep on running and take you on. How do you think Rooney got so good?
He wouldn't suit Man United though.
I thought
Arsenal player.
I thought it was an Arsenal player or a Liverpool player.
Yeah.
Liverpool need a player, or Chelsea.
I would love him at Chelsea. I would love him, but I don't think.
I don't know if him and Cole Palmer would work well together though. Because Cole Palmer's like the number 10, and I thought Eze Smith was the number 10.
But Cole Palmer is good. He's good at also setting up goals and working off of people. So he works with people who are direct, like someone like Noni. He works off where we're there.
I think Newcastle as well. Newcastle would be a good move for him as well.
I would play Eze off the left and give him a free role. So I feel like he could fit most teams. I think Man United, what they need is like direct runners, whereas I think Eze, he can do that, but he's more of a dribbler. And Man United don't need dribblers.
Who did Eze remember? What player from the Masters? He's got a flash of Ronaldinho a little bit about him, Eze. A little bit of the flair, the way he can take on a player.
A sense of fun.
Low gravity.
JJ Okocha.
Yeah.
And when he gets the ball and he commits players and he little combinations and makes. I'm not talking about the flicks and tricks. I'm just talking about the general ball on the ground, that interplay, making things happen, moving the ball around, getting into positions, having shots, having good crosses.
Yeah.
I see Okocha in his game a lot. I mean, the other obvious one is Wilfred Zaha. That's the other obvious option.
Play together.
If
he was going to learn from someone, he was going to learn it from him.
There's a lot of Zaha in his game as well. But I think Zaha and Okocha, I see elements of that in his game. And I guess if you think about it from a bigger scale, then you could add Ronaldinho into that, because Ronaldinho himself was inspired by Okocha. So you could argue that there's elements of that in his game. Yeah. But what a player. And I think I'm really happy for what he's doing. I want to big up their manager next, because Oliver Glasner came in. Some people were a bit confused as to why they brought him in. I think they let go Roy at the time, brought him in. But you can't argue with the man's CV. Just run through it real quick. He was at Wolfsburg for 2 seasons, and they qualified for Europe both times. Then he went to Frankfurt. First season, won Europa League. Second season, they got into the Champions League knockout phase, and they got to German Cup final. Then he moved to Crystal Palace. They had a rocky start. They won 6 out of their last 7 games, had a top 10 finish for the second time in the Premier League era, and then they also recorded their joint highest win in the Premier League with the final 5-0 victory against Aston Villa in the back end of last season. And they're currently 12th on 39 points and could finish around in the top 8 if fixtures go their way. And I've also heard they're looking at getting him a new contract as well. I mean, for a manager that's come in, slowish start, I love what he's got from the players, the buy-in. Even this season, it was a slowish start as well, because they ended last season strong and started this season. Obviously, as Elise went, they had injuries as well. They brought in new players and they weren't able to bed them in because they had injuries all over the place. They had Jonathan Lohmer playing centre-back at one point because Joaquin Anderson had left. And then Doucouré wasn't fully fit yet. So they've struggled. And Adam Wharton had an injury for a while. They have really struggled to get continuity. They brought in Kamada. He didn't really settle that well. We're now starting to see their other. There's another player they've got as well in midfield.
The one they bought for Millwall.
Yeah.
The winger.
Oh, yeah,
the winger.
yeah. I
He's
can't remember
good.
his name, but I know
Yeah,
who you mean.
So
Yeah.
they're getting players that are slowly coming into the fore, and it's like I said, the culture club is growing. Me personally, I'd love it if they win the whole thing. But Matthew, how do you feel about what he has been doing, Oliver Glasner, this time in Palace?
When you look at his trajectory to get to where he is now, the clubs like he's got to, where they're not like necessarily the big dog clubs, but they're a club with potential and build up to make them something really, really good. And every time he's gone there, he's progressed with them. So you have to say that he's at the right place to do it. Like you said, the culture club of the South. And if you look at their far off rivals, Brighton, very similar sort of thing where they've got to a point where at one point they're in Europe, but they're a set Premier League team for talent, good football, do well in the cups and things like that, and establish themselves. He could be that to them for Crystal Palace. You know, if they trust him enough, they believe him enough, and understand that there's going to be a little bit ups and downs. You know, rocky starts here and there, but to trust enough in his process that at least in the cups they can really do really well, and even in the Premier League to very slowly march their way into that competition that is the top 8 for it'll be great to see him in the Conference League. It will be great because they got the talent that can really make that tournament so much fun because they're a fun club. And you credit that, and that's for lots of managers in the Premier League. Lots, not just him, but the fact that at one point Palace they were probably favourites for relegation, not really known to do well in the cup competitions, and just another club. They've not gotten away unnoticed. They're not anonymous. They are known for having their own set of style. So, and he's very much a part of that. He took on from Roy, who got him only so far. And I think Roy knew that he could only take him so far. That the club had left him behind, and I think he needed to kind of just, he couldn't do it no more. Where someone a bit more travelled, who knows a bit more about football, particularly in Europe, internationally, bringing those ideas here. Look at other clubs in the Premier League who have the same mentality. Look at what's happening at Newcastle right now. All right, it didn't happen straight away, but they got there. Look what's happening at Brighton. Look what's happening at Bournemouth. Look what's happening at Bournemouth for them to get to. Granted, they got knocked out in the quarterfinals, but look at the standard of football they have there now. Even other teams like Brentford establish themselves as Premier League. Aston Villa,
Very true.
It's establishing yourself into that upper mid echelon of things. So he's done a fantastic job there, and they're well on their way to becoming that.
Yeah, I'm eager to see what they do next, and hopefully they can bring home some silverware this season because it's definitely a team that deserves it. Obviously, Brighton, Nottingham Forest was a competitive game, and Forest got there in the end on penalties. And of course, Aston Villa with another Marcus Rashford inspired good performance, 2 goals for him. Jacob Ramsey with the 3rd, getting through in their game against Preston. And then of course, Man City do what Man City do best, and just winning in a game which could have gone either way, but Man City are Man City. So I guess the big one is looking at that picture of the 4. What's your call for the final? So we got Forest versus Man City, Palace versus Villa. Craig, what's your pick for the 2 teams that make the final?
Palace, Forest.
Okay.
I'll give you the final that I want. I'm giving you the final that I want.
What's the final you want?
Forest Villa.
Oh.
Sleeping Giants returning.
I want,
in an FA Cup final.
I see the appeal for that. I still want Palace in there,
They
the culture club.
they deserve it.
Yeah.
All 3 of those clubs deserve it, and the other club. Because I'll lead to a hot take into that club in a minute.
Yeah, let's go.
Palace Forest would be wicked.
Yes.
Palace Forest would be wicked final. It would be good.
That will either be high scoring or a narrow. It will either be a 3-2 final, a 2-1 final, or a 1-0 final, but like a 1-0 that could have been a 3-2.
Yes.
It's one of those.
Tense, man.
Whereas Forest Villa,
It's a clash of it's It's a return to the old school, man.
Yeah, but I think that game could become tactical like crazy though, because both teams can go at you counter-attacking, and both teams can kind of sit back and absorb pressure. So it just depends. Either way, we're in for. I mean, if one of them have to face Man City, I still think they'll give them the game.
Definitely.
I think Man City are starting to slowly piece themselves back together again. But I hope they fail in the FA Cup, and I hope those charges get enough. Oh, we're in March now. Yo, FA, hold on. Where's the... Because the thing is, I heard over the international break that they've... So what I have heard is that they have lost some of the charges, but not all of them. And people are maybe not going to be happy with the outcome.
Oh, great.
But I don't know which charges they've lost and which ones they've won. But the general gist I've heard is that they have lost some of them. Maybe not as much as you would have expected. So it's going to be an interesting one. Saying all that, Matthew, what's your hot take for this week?
Man City getting to the final. I'm not watching.
That's not a hot take. I don't think any of us will. No, that's not true. I hate watching. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk.
No.
I hate the blue that you wear. I hate the way you dress. I hate the way you lift up trophies.
It wasn't
That's just me, I guess.
There's a hot take. You can't lift trophies properly. There it is. Not for real. I
want to see them lose.
I want to see them lose so bad. So bad.
And that's not for the old Man City fans. That's for the Chelsea fans that became Man City fans. The Liverpool fans became Man City fans. The Arsenal fans became Man City fans. The Man United fans became Man City fans. And then the club that are just cheats. I don't care how you want to spin the cap. You are cheats. You hid stuff. You broke the rules. You know the funny thing? The person who helped these charges come to light was a lawyer that used to work for the owner of Man City himself. He's the whistleblower. Yeah, that's what came out in the last few weeks. It's the people you know. It's the people you know.
Keep your friends close
and your enemies closer. Right, so to wrap up for today, for this week, obviously we've got some Premier League games coming up. As you're listening to this podcast, the games are happening today. As we're recording, it's tomorrow, it's Wednesday, it's Thursday. But we've got some matches coming up. We've got some predictions to make. Let's start off from reverse order. So Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. How do you see that one going?
Is this on the City ground?
It's going to be the City ground.
That changes things. I'm going to go 2-1 Nottingham Forest.
Craig, how do you see it going?
2-1 Forest.
I see Forest beating them 3-0. Wolves versus West Ham at the Molineux.
Wolves versus who? West Ham?
West Ham at Molineux. Big game.
2-2 draw.
2-2 draw.
2-1 West Ham.
Oh,
Skip a little bit. It'll be a good game though.
It's gonna be a good game. I'm gonna go draw as well. Maybe 1-1 or 2-2. I'm going for a draw. And then last but not least, Arsenal versus Fulham.
3-1 Arsenal.
Emirates.
We owe them. I will be there as well, live in the flesh.
Will Saka possibly be back?
Saka is back.
I'm going to go for 2-0 Arsenal, but it won't be easy.
Okay.
Fulham are a good team.
Yeah, we owe them for the stupid 1-1 in December, so I'm gonna say we're gonna beat them. I'm gonna go 3-0.
Standing ovation for Smith Rowe.
Saka to score.
Yeah, Smith Rowe will get a good reception.
Odegaard to score the first goal.
Waniero to score.
I'm saying that. So Arteta said Saka could start. He's ready to start. I think he's been fit for a while and they've just held him back. I think he's been training for ages, like for the last few months, and they just didn't want him to go away with England, so they just kept him. He could have played in Chelsea game, is my theory. So we're going on to Wednesday's fixtures. We're going to start with Bournemouth against Ipswich.
Bournemouth need to get form. Ipswich need to win because they need to stay up in the Premier League if they can. So I feel right now Bournemouth's form is terrible. They've dropped off. So I think Ipswich might win 1-0.
Wow.
I'm going to go for a nervy 1-1 draw, but Ipswich are going to lead for like 80 minutes.
I'll go for a Bournemouth win. They're at home. I can see them doing it. Brighton versus Aston Villa.
Ooh.
Villa win 2-1. Rashford to score, Rashford to assist.
I think Brighton 3-1.
I'm going for a draw because I think after this point of getting knocked out of the cup, they're going to want to get back. They get their own back. Man City versus Leicester.
Damn.
Man City, man. Leicester, terrible. No, I'm not being. I like Leicester.
No, it's true.
I like Leicester, but this
You're
season,
right, you're right.
Out of all the championship teams that got promoted last this season, yeah, I think I said in our pod, I thought Leicester would stay up. They let me down, man.
They're dreadful.
They let me down. They're worse than the Sheffield United and Burnley last season. I swear down. And you know it's true. And you guys know it's true.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying you're wrong.
we're not saying you're wrong, but that is the most outrageous thing to be worse than them, and they were dog anyway.
Right. Over, mate. Wrong
But you know
over.
the funny thing is, like, because of how bad Leicester are, this could be the one game where they just turn up and they get something out of it.
It's not impossible.
I don't see it happening, and I'm going to put them down to lose, but it wouldn't surprise me because football's like that. What's your prediction?
I think they'll score first, and then City will roll them over about 4-1.
Okay. Newcastle, Brentford.
Oh, my team, Brentford. I love Brentford.
Depends how hungover Newcastle are after the weekend, doesn't it?
Was that Newcastle at home?
Yeah. Oh, they were in party mode though.
They're going to be part
They
of
might smash them. Yeah, Newcastle at home.
Well, Newcastle need Champions League to keep Isak and Guimaraes, isn't it? So they need to get some wins under their belt. Brentford are like mid-table, aren't they?
Yeah, they're 11.
certified mid-table. Yeah.
Well, they're going to stay up anyway. They'll stay up. So I think Barman Berman is going to score. I think Isak will score. Is Gordon back for suspension or is he still suspended?
It was only one game, wasn't it? It was just
One
the
game,
final.
yeah.
Yeah, so he should be back.
I think 2-1 Newcastle.
Okay.
I'm going 3-1 Newcastle.
I'm going for Newcastle win as well. I think they're going to just keep celebrating the goodness from the Carabao Cup final. Southampton versus Crystal Palace.
Palace win. Southampton are terrible. They're another worst team in the league as well. The worst.
Of it.
The worst than Derby back in the day.
Ooh,
when Derby,
yes.
Remember when Derby went to the Premier League
wow.
and they're relegated like 11. They're relegated the lowest points of Premier League history.
Be that bad.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I wanted Leeds. I said this before in the pod. I wanted Leeds to go up last season, not Southampton. I'm sorry.
We all
Leeds
did.
Leeds would have had a better
we
chance of
all
staying
did.
up this
Yeah,
season.
we all did though.
We all did,
Unfortunately, it didn't
honestly.
work out.
Yeah, Palace. Mateta going to get another goal. Welcome back from that stupid tackle.
Ketchum might get one as well. Liverpool versus Everton in the Merseyside derby.
You know what? Yeah, I got a funny feeling that Everton will turn them over. You know, I really do. I really got that feeling that Everton were aggrieved in the last game when they played them at Goodison Park. They scored the last minute goal, and there's a massive fight happening between Curtis Jones and Decore.
Yeah.
I thought Liverpool Everton going to be up for it. They're going to want to spoil the title party, so I think Everton will get a shock win, 2-1 win.
2-1 win Everton.
I'm going to say Liverpool are going to win. They're going to have to fight for it. I'm also going to say there's going to be at least 3 red cards.
Yeah.
They've already had the last one at Goodison. What a good way to get somewhat of a thing against like your local rivals in this kind of season. So I think there's going to be beef.
I'm going to call a draw, and I think it's going to be another late one, like 83rd or 85th minute. There'll be an equaliser, and then that'll be it. And last but not least, Tiny Tots versus Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Up the Chelsea.
Chelsea have been out of form recently,
I suppose
And Tottenham are Tottenham.
and Tottenham have just been terrible. So Chelsea are you at home?
Yeah,
Wow.
at the Bridge.
Chelsea's record against Tottenham at home, Tottenham have only beaten them once or twice at Stamford Bridge over the years,
only
isn't it?
once in the recent memory.
I will go that Chelsea will win again.
Cole Palmer's going to get his return. Many happy returns goal.
And Jackson's going to score if he's fit. Jackson will score if he's fit. He's fit now, I think. He's back in
We
training.
need
I
him back.
think.
Oh man, we miss him. We
Yeah.
do miss that boy.
It's going to be interesting, but we'll see. I'm going to go for a draw again. I just think it's one of those weird ones where Tottenham are stupid like that. They'll just wake up and do something annoying. Yeah.
Spoil the party.
And spoil the party. I'm putting that as a draw.
It's on Sunday, right?
It is on Thursday.
It's on Thursday. Oh, of course, Dirk was on
All things
Thursday.
midweek. So yeah, that's it for the fixtures coming up this week. There's a lot to play for. Obviously, we're looking at how things are going to go in the title race. Liverpool are out in front, sitting pretty. They currently sit on 70 points. There's a 12-point gap between them and Arsenal. Arsenal play first, so we'll see if that can get chipped down to 9. And then we wait. And then we wait. And then we wait. That's all I'm going to say about that. Nottingham Forest are in third on 54 points, which is why Arsenal need to keep winning because Nottingham Forest are there and they could close that gap. Chelsea are in fourth on 49 with Man City in fifth on 48 and Newcastle and Brighton both level on points, but Newcastle are in sixth, Brighton in seventh, both on 47 points. Fulham are on 45 with Aston Villa and Bournemouth are on 44, making up the top 10. And the bottom three is as it has been for a while now. Southampton last with 9 points. They've lost their last 5 games that I can see, but they might have lost more. We've also got Leicester on 17 points in 19th place and Ipswich also on 17th points in 18th place, and above them is Wolves on 26 points. So it's only a matter of time before the chance to get out of the bottom 3 is gone and all 3 will be condemned to the Championship, where Southampton should stay for a season, figure out themselves and then try again the year after. Ipswich, you can come back because you've been all right. Just sort your defence out. And Leicester... That's us signing out.
Peace.